I'm just analysing some very green pictures that I found on the Apollo Image Atlas. Now, these are very rare. I've also contacted Robert Brand here in Sydney, and he just believes I'm out there trying to find needle in haystacks, that I'm a UFO conspiracist. Also, Charles Radley I contacted on Facebook. I'm not here for that. I just found it very interesting. First time I saw the 12 white orbs over Sydney, I just started research. I then saw an article, I go look at the far side of the moon using Google Moon, which I did. Obviously, if there wasn't anything there, I wouldn't have spent hundreds of hours just researching things. And I found towers, walls, courtyards, everything there. There's about 10,000 structures. And then I was bored of that, and obviously I started the Apollo Image Atlas. If there wasn't anything on there, I would have stopped ages ago. And when I mentioned to them, I see worms and lava and things that obviously look like animals and statues. The explanation is all I see is rocks. So if you've watched up to now, I think you realise they're not rocks. So this is there it is. There, it's green. It's very green. I'll go back now to number 902. It's very rare to find these green ones. They only happen a few times, but it just shows how lush and green the landscape is. We'll just wait for that to download. And obviously it doesn't take much to realise, the moon's not just a flat, lifeless form. You then see these various sort of growths or things happening here, and it's not hard to then use your iPhone app, which I've got, which I can zoom in 6 times. The screen provides a nice bright colour, and all I do is just I'm very fascinated with these structures. It's a hobby, and I just zoom in. So there are these structures there. So I'll actually show the pictures now. I'll just go to one more, which is that one here. Takes a while to download. So these were taken by Apollo 10, and they were looking for landing sites for Apollo 11. And the structures I'm looking at are obviously these hilly white things that just don't look like normal hills. So it's just common sense. You can zoom in and see what they look like. Obviously these craters look more like holes rather than craters, but you can't see the whole depth of them, so I don't want to analyze them. And I'll quickly now bring the pictures up. Simple as that. So when you zoom in, you just find these white type of growths or structures there, but it's very green and lush. So obviously you have to ask yourself what's going on if it's so green. So here they are. They're very layered. They seem to be like rock formations, but they don't just look like rocks. They seem to be layered in various layers, and some actually form like towers or vertical structures. Obviously you see these white things there in depressions. You'll see a larger vertical one there. I don't know what they are. It's just they're surrounded by green, and green on Earth usually means vegetation. Here we go again. You'll see these white blobs happening, surrounded by a lot of green, and that's why it's obviously unusual if it's meant to be on the moon. There it is again. So they're very twisting, very turning. Some go up, some go sideways. Are they growths? Are they natural formations? But they're all surrounded by green. Next one. Here we go again. Very knobbly there, and it just seems to grow out that way. Here's the tower structure I was telling you about. Obviously you can see the shadow. That one actually is going up, the rest goes sideways. Obviously I'm not saying they're aliens, I'm just saying, look, there's white structures with a knobbly, formations, and some go sideways and some go up. they could be growths, they could be unnatural crystalline formations. I'm just saying, well, it's all green and these are white. Use your imagination. That's all I'm just saying. So I'm trying to zoom in and show what these things look like. There we go. So it's just interesting, obviously, when you zoom in and see things like that on something that's meant to be lifeless, and it's always pictured as grey. And there it is. These are very nice bright green colours. Another one. These look like they're just white blobs in surrounded by green. I think I got these from one other mission, so I'll zoom in those photos now. Now I just checked, these are still Apollo 10 shots. Just keep zooming in. Now we'll go to Apollo 8. So I'll just bring this picture up now. Well, this is meant to be the picture here. It's very green, so let's zoom in on the colours now. So again, we've got these white things sort of situated in there, and we've got very nice greens coming up. Again, I'm not saying they're aliens or anything, but it's more than likely that a planet that can lift up an ocean 2 meters away on one other planet could have its own atmosphere, maybe. And obviously, if that's obviously mentioned, we could think of other life forms and things like that, and obviously that would scare us. So most of the public shouldn't be told about this, I believe, because obviously it could create fear and what else is out there. Not much happening in this photo, but yeah, here we go. We have those white sort of formations again on rock ledges, and there's plenty of green there. Here we go again. It's very green. We got 2 white blobs in there. Again, 2 white blobs. Plenty of green. The white blobs could be many things, but always they're in a depression, so it indicates. Here we go. These are interesting because they're actually on the ledge there, and they're actually they're growing up or upwards. There's obviously a shadow there as well. If you enlarge, it's not that clear. Okay, it's not bad. So that's interesting. It's darker. And there we go again. That's very bright white. They could be even white pebbles or large rocks obviously in there, but it shows it's green. We'll now analyze Apollo 8 from these images 2399. It all just looks very rough and from this far up, but when we zoom in, there's a lot of interesting structures, and we'll zoom into obviously around this one, 2421 or so. So let's go in now. It's very green, and again we'll see these white tuberous type of processes. I'm not sure if they're actually live objects like worms or just growths there on the surface. So let's zoom in now. So this is 240, and we see again these tuberous hilly structures. Very hard on this image. There it is again. So it's obviously not your typical lunar landscape. It's very green, it's very hilly. You've got these white tuberous processes. Let's go to 2F401, might be a bit easy to see. Here we go. Starting to see these white, what look like tuberous processes. No, these images are not that good. Obviously shows you that it's not just a flat landscape. It's very green. This is amazing. It looks like more. It's very hard to believe these individual holes could be just due to a meteor. So they're more like on an ocean, a bed type of coral. Look at that. That's amazing, isn't it? And it's very green. Let's go one more. There we go. Look at that. Obviously the resolution's not that good on these ones. That's a bit better. You see these like white protuberances coming out. They're all covered by green, which could be moss or a lichen, or there's more. Here you got more. Here you see how they curve up around there as well. That's an interesting shot. Look at that. They're of all sizes, these little entrances which are just rounded. It seems as though they were formed by some type of process rather than just being hit by meteors. They're all perfectly round. Here you have these white nodules and processes again. Some are good images, some are not. Here we go again. 2411. That's interesting. That shows these white long things, which could be again growths or live objects. And we have seen on previous episodes these large worms which actually had a trail mark that led right to the individual worm, and you can see the lava and shadows as they are going up the white hill near where the eggs were laid. So that was a definite proof they actually are moving and forming the trail marks. Here it's a bit harder. See what I mean? They have all these white long processes, but could they be just growths, crystalline processes, so not just worms? Obviously it's not flat down there, is it? It shows a lot of type of landscapes. This is one of our best photos there. I'll try to enlarge it, but it shows obviously curvy white cylinder objects there on the surface. Here they are again. That's a bit easy to work out. You see it coming over there. Curling up there. Obviously they're bizarre. They're not just your typical flat images, are they? That's a close-up of the one we saw previously coming over. This one's interesting too. It seems to curl up there. Amazing, isn't it? Here we go again. Obviously, if these are the highest resolution, here we go. That's a clear image. That's a very good one. Look at that. You see these white things coming over the landscape. Little ones, larger ones there. They're curvy. They're white long cylinders. Are they live or are they growths? Or are they natural crystalline or rock formations? Your guess is as good as mine on these photos because they're not that clear. That's an interesting one. It just curves around.